Hey, I'm Luke, and today I am opening this box up. This is the box that I've just got in the mail today from Will at Caymac Vintage. Back in November, I sent him 3 of my boards for him to have a look at that had vexed me greatly in troubleshooting. They were a SE30 and a Color Classic and an LC 575 logic boards, all with various faults. If I just switch this on here, I can show you. That's actually what the boards look like the last time I saw them. What's that one? That's the Color Classic. I had obviously recapped it, and it was kind of working sometimes was the gist, but it was getting worse. It used to basically turn onto a grey screen most of the time. After I originally recapped it, because it obviously had bad caps when I first got it, it worked for a little while, and then it just proceeded to continue to always just go to a grey screen, sorry. This one here is the 575. That board I got in a 575 when I picked it up, and it would just chime. So as soon as you turn it on, it will give the Sad Mac chime immediately. I can't remember if it actually chimed properly. That is, I'd have to go back and watch. I've got videos of it when it was doing it. It was, to be honest, that was quite a while ago, that one. I troubleshooted it for a long time, and then eventually shoved it in a box because it was annoying me. But I obviously recapped it, and it was doing that, and then eventually it's just stopped powering on at all. There was no, you couldn't turn it on. It wouldn't power up the computer when you did the soft power on. And the third one was this board here, which is an SE30. I did a lot of work on this SE30 originally. Obviously did the recap of it. I bought it in an SE30 that I got from Adelaide, I think, at some point. And this one actually I had running in a Mac, sitting in my SE30, sitting in my office in part of my Zoom background for probably a year to 18 months, pretty much on every day, working perfectly. And then it started developing lots of faults. I think from memory, from what Will told me, it was obviously not obviously, but those SIM sockets were part of the problem. They were definitely struggling to keep any of the SIMs in there, and I actually had some modern 4 meg SIMs that I'd built and put in there, and it was just struggling with the thickness of them. You could get it to work if you held it down in there. Weirdly, it developed this fault overnight. Like it worked for 18 months. It was perfectly fine. And then all of a sudden it started throwing weird memory errors and just started having lots of faults, which could have been related to that, but also, like, I think you can't really see clearly from this picture, but if I zoom in, maybe you can. It's not going to work. How do we? There we go. Yeah, it was a bit rough, this board, down around here. There was a fair bit of trace damage. You can actually see an uncovered trace there. And I did put quite a bit of UV covered stuff on there to basically try and protect that. It was all working. I think from memory though, actually now that I think about it, this one I couldn't get the comms ports didn't work in it either. So it had numerous faults, mostly the biggest one being I couldn't reliably use it with any SIMs. Seemed to work okay with 1 meg SIMs sometimes, but yeah. So I sent that one off to Will and asked him if he would reload that onto a new board. because otherwise all the components were working. When I originally got it, this one had lots of faults. It had the main fault being it was jailbarred, which after replacing and ripping all these chips off and putting them back on there, new ones, ended up turning out to be one of these. I think it was this, the VRAM chip was faulty. So in this image of it now, you can see I actually lifted those chips both off, put 2 new chips on there, which you can still buy, amazingly, and put it in sockets. So that fixed the video issue, and like I said, that was reliably working for a good 18 months, and then the faults just became too much for it. So hopefully that is what is in this box today. So let's open it up. I also did buy a couple of things from Will's shop at the same time, so they should be in here as well, and also a surprise apparently. I don't know what that is, but Will has told me that there is something in here which he's keen to know what I think of. So let's have a look. I'll try not to cut myself with this knife. There's an amazing amount of stamps on this box. Chop, 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 chop. Oh, there we go. Stamps come off. There we go. Okay, nice and well packed. There's nothing in that. Nope. Looks like the box survived the trip from the Cayman Islands without any issue, which is good news. It's been in shipment for quite a while and took quite a long way, a weird way to get here. It came from Cayman Islands, went to the UK, then from the UK to Brisbane, and then from Brisbane down to Melbourne over the weekend, and arrived here this morning. This is very well packed. Well done. This is lovely. Oh, look at these. Oh, it's excellent packing. This looks like everything is in a nice anti-static bag there. Have I got anything else in there, or I can get rid of this box now? There we go. All right. Let's have a look. Okay, that looks like some of the things that I have bought, which is a memory, some 16 meg sims, a ROM, and also one of his new LC power supply boards. Because I have numerous LCs floating around that need love and attention, like that one right there. There's a couple there. I don't think that one's got any power supply in it, but that is a task for another day. Okay, those ones out. That looks like our, what's that? That's the LC 575. Color Classic. Yep, okay. Let's start with, the Color Classic, because I actually have a Color Classic sitting on the floor right next to me, so that'll be easier to test. just going to rip this tape off these bags. These bags are very good bags that I want to hold on to. That one's taking part of the bag with it. There we go. All right. So, from what I understand with this board, let's hold him up there like that. Most of the fault ended up being around this sound chip over here. So I believe Will has changed that chip and put one from a LC 475, I believe, on it. And that got it working with sound again. It looks pretty good. Well, that is a awesome soldering job. I would not have any idea that that's been swapped over. Yeah, that's looking excellent. All right. I don't believe he ended up taking the CUDA chip off. That still looks like original solder on that one, I think, and because it was actually powering it up, so that was working okay. All right. Now I'm just going to move that there. And on the floor. All right. This is the Bondi Sydney Color Classic. Voltage is okay. Probably should recap the analog board. Definitely need to recap the analog board at some point. It does work though. Logic board faulty. This is a separate logic board that I'm vexing. Color Classics vex me. It's this one won't power on at all. And it's got a bit of a smell that comes from the flyback. It actually needs a new flyback. But it does, for the purposes of this testing, it does work. Let me just switch to that and turn off that. By that. Go. Power. And somewhere here I need to turn my power on. 1 second. Have I got power yet? Yes, there we go. Okay, good. All right, there's no logic board in this one at the moment because its logic board is currently sitting over there because I was troubleshooting it yesterday. All right, so slide this in actually. I'm just gonna put one of these ground things on here because I think I took the ground pins off these because they always fall off. And I know these boards like their grounding, and I had one sitting on the floor there, on the table. All right. Slide that in. Now I need a keyboard. just turn this on. All right, power on. Okay, and push in the soft on button. Woohoo! It chimes. First one seems to have survived the journey back from Cayman Islands. Mouse pointer's appeared. Ew, sorry about that flickering. That's only flickering on the screen because it's not flickering here. This one's, like I said, this power supply puts out some funny smells from the flyback that I think I need to deal with, but it's pretty reliable from a voltage point of view. Okay, we've got a flashing question mark there. That's a good sign. So I'm just going to turn it back off again and wander over here to this one that's on behind me that I'm testing and turn it off. Because my Blue SCSI is here, and it should allow it to boot up. Let's do this again. 1, 2, 3, on. That's a lovely sound. Particularly because this one was just looking like that all the time, basically, not actually going and loading the ROM. And look at that, booting. I must say, Will, whatever you use to clean these boards, it smells lovely. It's got like a freshly laundered sheets kind of smell going on. I think smell it. It's very nice. I like it. Yeah, no, time's not set, that's fine. Who cares about the time there at the moment? Oops. And looks like we've loaded up. And showing it's 4 megs of memory that it's got on board because I haven't got anything in it at the moment. All right, excellent. Number 1 working. Aha. Now let's shut this one down. Turn that off. Get rid of this keyboard. Oh. Unplug that. Okay. And lift. And put that there. All right. Next. Let's do the LC. Testing this one's going to be more of a challenge because LC is bigger. Alright, so this one, let's have a look-see. From what I understand with this one, reseated the CUDA chip, that one there. Yep, which basically fixed the soft power on problem that it was having. And then the memory, the sad Mac sound, was the 7th chip, I think you said. So I'm assuming, where are we? 0. Is that the way they go? 0. It looks like a 0, but maybe it's a 1. 1, 2, 3. Oh no. Oh, I have no idea where that. Oh. 0, 3, 4. Okay. I actually don't know how these are numbered. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it was this chip here. So he used new memory sims. Memory modules. Memory chips, that's the word I'm looking for. And again, that looks like awesome soldering work. I would not know that that has been resoldered. So nice job there. I think it's my video memory. So this one should again be able to boot without sim in it. Now, this thing's heavy. This one also comes in a lovely case. There we go. This case helps keep it from being dusty. Look at that big ass box. That doesn't work very well with that camera at all. The camera needs to be much higher. Side will be better. There we go. I'm going to be careful handling this because the plastics on this aren't great. Now, I think from memory, this is the actual case that belongs to this board. This board that's in here at the moment, which I'm just about to remove, does work. Actually needs to have some work done to it. And this is an example of what a board looks like if it hasn't been cleaned. Look at that. This one does not smell nice and like freshly laundered sheets. This one looks like pure dust. I do need to recap this one. It's actually not bad from a leaking capacitors point of view, so that's why I haven't really prioritized it, and it actually works. Just got a bit of rust on the thing there, but it does work. So anyway, that one's not the subject of this exercise, so it can sit over there. This one looks much nicer than that. So, yeah, I think from memory, like I said, this is the one, the case that this actual board came from. That other board, I bought an LC 575 and made the mistake of getting it shipped. And needless to say, it didn't survive in one piece. Like, it was the best packaging I've ever seen. I got some place called Pack and Send that we have here to send it, and it came from Adelaide, I believe. Best packaging I've ever seen, but the CRT and the plastics in the chassis, it just had dropped. Something had broken. The back of the CRT had been smashed off. It was an absolute mess inside there. But the board was fine. So meant I had a lot of parts, including a working logic board and analog board and all that sort of stuff. But it was very sad for that particular LC, and I would never, ever, ever, ever ship one of those ever again. I've driven, but and that's what I should have done in that case. But anyway, live and learn, and unfortunately that LC didn't survive. But this one I got locally. I think I had to drive a fair way for this one. Though. All right, I'm just going to plug my Blue SCSI in this as well, because that same image should work. mouse, keyboard, plug that in, power, vroom, vroom noise, and power. Oh, look at that chime. Powering up straight away by the looks of it. Okay, this part I just sped up a bit and I'm recording this voiceover over the top of it because basically I faff around a fair bit here with the LC575. Basically what I was happening, I was having problems. It wasn't booting properly. At first, the first issue was it was actually just coming up with a black screen, and then it would sometimes crash, and I got the sad Mac chimes. Turned out in the end that the VRAM SIMs on the board were obviously a bit loose. Basically, after I reseated those, took them off, put them back on, all the problems I was having when I was trying to do this bit here seemed to go away, and it's been really stable, and I've read it for a day basically afterwards. So yeah, just speeding that up, but the board definitely working perfectly once I reseated those SIMs. Next, we have the reloaded SE30. Now, Will actually did a video on his channel of this as well. When he was doing it. And there we go. That is a thing of beauty. All new RAM slots. Everything is socketed now, which is nice. Socketed. Those two video chips are socketed. Looks like they're still the same chips that I swapped out. Oh, these sound chips are socketed as well. Oh, look at those new little resistor nets. Very nice. That looks awesome. And obviously a space for a battery. Wow. So there it is. And there's my name. As like it was said before, this board was okay and worked for a fair while, but it was a bit. There was lots of problems up in this area up here. I wonder if the original. I can't remember what. What I changed the capacitors to be. I think if I look at the, I can turn that on. Go to this view here. I can do. I don't know. They could be my capacitors, or he could have put new capacitors on. It's hard to tell. They all look about the same size. Not that size can be oh, actually, maybe they're new capacitors, because they just look a bit, the new ones look a bit thinner than the ones that I put on there. Yeah, definitely. The ones that I put were much sort of thicker ones. So yeah, that is looking good. Alright, now in this other package we should have that is the new LC power board, which is obviously missing its main wells and components and stuff, and I'm going to source them locally here and try and put that in one of my LCs and test it out. What else have we got here? Okay, that's the blink ROM. I think that might be our surprise in there. Let's have a look. These are the memory sims. So these are 16 meg sims with LEDs in them. Let's try. Oh, gee, they go in there so much easier. I'm always so scared when I'm playing with one of these not LCs, SE30s. The carefully trying to ease the chip out is scary as all crap without breaking them. But they are just like brand new, effectively. Look at that. Lovely. Now this, so this is our ROM, and then that, this, what is this? Wow, Macintosh ROM Simulars interposer. Ooh. I think it's got a whole bunch of lights on it. I'll have to chat to Will when he comes online later today about this, because he told me he'd have to explain some stuff to me about it. My assumption, without actually going and whacking this in, because I don't want to do that until I understand what it actually is that you put that in there like that. Nope, let's go that way. Or it's not even for this one. Yes, I need to look this up. It should be, you know, it's definitely the right. So it has to go that way. Anyway, we'll look that up in a minute. I assume you put that in there like that, and then you put this in there like that, and then you can see all of the different data channels. So we'll just put the ROM in there for the moment. And this is the blink ROM as well. It's got, so has that got all the address lines on it as well? Oh yeah, all the address lines and the data lines. Oh, that would be quite pretty to watch. This one looks like it's got a bunch of different lights for the different address lines and some voltage LEDs. Okay, that's actually much easier to get in there. Why is that hard to try and line up? I'm also scared I don't want to damage this board, but the moment I get it, that would make me very, very sad. So I'm just going to put this one in for the minute. This one goes in. There we go, look at that. All right. Now we need to test that. Okay, so now I was going to test out this SE30 in this beastie. Nice specimen of an SE30. Used to belong to a biochem department. Interesting enough. Yeah. What's that say? University of WA. So at some point, this was living over the other side of the country in Western Australia. Now, this was working the last time I tested it, but I just turned it on to try and see if it worked, and it didn't boot up. And then when I checked the voltage on it, it was low 5 volts. So it was only having about 4.4 volts, which I think is not kicking it into gear. So I'm looking at my note on this one. It actually says I have recapped the power supply in this one. But I've been finding some of my Sony recapped power supplies seem to have a habit of dying nowadays. So I've got a modern power supply replacement, which I don't have for that one today. So that's not going to work. So instead, I'm going to try this. I'll use this, which is another one of Will's products that I've actually bought off his store, which is the basically the SE30 compact Mac display. So I plug this in, powers it up, and allows you to get video out on a HDMI, which now will require me to get under the desk. Which, because I should have probably prepped this. Where is my HDMI cable? Not there. Yes, I need to get on the left desk. One moment while I just go down here and unplug that cable from that computer there. Here we go. Oh. And then somewhere I now have a HDMI port cable I can use. All right. And I'll just change my monitor over. Input HDMI. All right, so what we need to make this work is we'll go to top view. I need my SE30, which is just sitting here. And this is one of the earlier versions of this, I believe, which requires, or just has separate connectors for this speaker, which I've got attached here. I'll just put that in there like that. Pop him down and push on there. I often just stick the speaker onto that metal mount point there, and that's my HDMI, which we'll just plug in there. Now we need power. For that, I have this. Just a bog standard ATX power supply from a PC. I've got a bench power supply over there, but I find this seems to work better. And I do have a Pico ATX power supply over here as well. I bought a couple of them to test, and they seem to work, but I don't know, this is reliable. And for the purposes of what I need to test here, fine. I just need to plug that in. I don't think I need these, but I'll plug them in anyway. Okay, that's in. Now I just need to give this some power. I'm just going to turn that off for a second. Leave that there. I've got things messy. There we go. Okay, I think that should be it. Let's see whether it chimes first. We'll just turn it on. Well, that sounds like a good chime. And also some very nice pretty lights. And it is booting. Which I'll use my camera on my iPhone in a second and show that I just need to plug a mouse in and this blue SCSI. Ooh, the lights look very pretty. Alright, let me just turn that back off again. Let's just turn this around. Because I should put that on to side view maybe. Needs to be slightly higher. I need something that I can prop that up with. That's wooden. Those coasters will do nicely. Like that. There we go. Somewhat better. Alright, so now I will just also plug a mouse in. Mousey mouse is in. And plug in blue SCSI. There like that. Okay. Now I'm gonna just turn this on again. And we're chiming and we've got lights, and now I'll just switch this over to my iPhone camera. It's sideways. That's just not much I can do about that because it's... Perhaps I can do that. No, that doesn't work. But it is definitely booting. I had a slight break there for a little while for dinner, and while I was doing that I changed the image on this blue SCSI to be one that I know works well with SE30s. So you can see. Let's have a look. I just need to turn my head this way so I can actually use the mouse. About this Mac. Look at that. 64 megs of memory. Or 65. 65 and a half. Look at the system software it's using, 59. That is because I need to go in here and change the thing in memory. Oh dear. Okay. Didn't like that. Look at those blicky lights. They're so pretty. Yeah, these reloaded boards are a work of art. Okay, it's booted. I wonder if I can do that again, or if that's going to trigger this. It could be just something to do with this image that doesn't like that control panel. I'll try it again. We'll see whether we error out again. That's better. Alright, we'll just turn on 32-bit addressing. That should solve that problem. Go away. And restart. And now we'll do that. I'm going to just turn the lights off. blinky lights in the dark. No, look at all the data lines. Are they data lines or address lines? I can't see. Address lines, I think. And we're booting again. All right. About this Macintosh. That looks better. System software, System 7.1, only using 2.8 megs of memory, and there's plenty of spare space there. Oh, look, the virtual memory is on now as well. Nice. I don't have a, obviously this ROM has custom ROMs on it. I'll have to test that out next, but that might have to be another day test because I don't have my keyboard handy. It's currently on the floor underneath that box. Look at it there. Let's have a look. There we go, look at that. Some After Dark screensavers happening. Oh, After Dark screensavers generates lots of memory activity. Who would have knew flying toasters could need to do so much? Lots of blinking going on the address lines with that. Oof. It's about the same when I stop it as well. Oh no, it settles down a little bit. Start it up again. Yeah, definitely gets a bit more rapid once the screensaver starts. Nice. All right, lights back on. That's it. That's working. Yes. So this one I will actually put in my SE30 that is inside in my office. That is in a Mac Effects clear case. So it's a work of art, that case. The board originally was in that case, and when it had that developed that fault, I ended up swapping it out for another SE30, which is there currently. I've been restoring its case. Did a experimentation on retro brighting, and it's come out quite well because it was really yellow. But its logic board is in my one in the office now, temporarily while I was getting this one repaired. So yeah, that means that this one will be able to go back into the clear case one that I've got, which is probably where I'm imagining where Will's thinking this will be really good, because this is going to have some serious blinking lights on it. I did a bit of looking up on the internet and I couldn't really find much on this in my quick search. I found some references to it last year in a Tinker Different forum post about the Vintage Computer Festival, and someone said that they were looking for or wanted to get one of these. I'm wondering, now Will said there's something not quite right with this that he needed to explain to me, so I'll have to talk to him about it. One of the things I did notice, when you go to put this in this board, you always have to put it in like, let me go side view. Has to go in, side view's not that good, like that, and then tilt it up. And I think it seems to, when you try to do that, it kind of bangs on this. So you can't, that's why when I was trying to look at it before, it didn't seem to work, but I was trying to have a look at it and see why it wasn't fitting in, and it's basically because it's sort of hitting on that. So I think there's a way of maneuvering it in, but I might talk to Will before I find that out and find out how to do that. So yeah, that is going to be cool to play with as well. But I think that might do for tonight's testing. This is working pretty well. By the looks of it, screensaver's come back on. We've got a steady amount of blinking going on. I am really, really happy with that. Thank you very much, Will, for all your awesome work on recapping. Oh, it's not recapping. Rebuilding this on a reloaded board. It looks beautiful. So I think that will do for today. Thanks very much for watching, and hope this was interesting, and maybe I'll do a video on actually putting this into the SE30 clear case over the next couple of weeks. So catch you soon. See you later. Bye.